Alright, today we are going to do section 8.4. 8.4 is about multiplying some special types of binomials. So I have the first two examples up here, so we're going to go ahead and multiply them like we did yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute the x to both and the negative 2 to both. Okay, when we do that, we're going to end up with an x squared plus 2x and then a minus 2x minus 4. So what you're going to notice about your like terms is they are actually going to end up canceling each other out. Okay, so we will be left with x squared minus 4. In example B, you're going to notice the same type of idea. Okay, first thing we'll do is distribute our 2x. So that will end up giving us a 4x squared minus 6x. Then I'll distribute my 3, and I'll end up with a 6x minus 9. Again, you will notice that your middle terms cancel out, so we are just left with 4x squared minus 9. Okay, so the next two you should be able to do on your own, and then you can double check them on the completed notes with C and D, but you should notice the same patterns with those. Okay, so then if you move down to the questions after you have done the other two, and you can just pause the video to do those. Okay, you get down to the questions at the end. The first question asks, what pattern did you notice in the examples above? Okay, well, you should have noticed that the middle terms do cancel out. Okay, which again is the special pattern that we were looking at on those. Okay, next question says, what is true about the binomial factors that are being multiplied that make the pattern true? So if you look at each of them, you notice that they have same terms, but they had opposite signs. One was always positive and one was always negative inside each of the binomials. So then the third question says, generalize the pattern to an a plus b and an a minus b. So if we did that, we know that the middle terms are going to cancel out. So we will just be left with an a squared minus b squared. So then you can use the pattern anytime you notice that. If you do, otherwise you could still go ahead and multiply those out. It would not make a difference. Okay. The second pattern that we're going to look at, you'll notice the next part actually told you how to do it because this was once a discovery lesson, but obviously things have changed a little bit since then. So I will move down to example 2 and we'll do a couple of those, and then you can pause it and do a couple on your own as well. Okay, so the first one they give you is they give you x minus 6 squared. Now you want to be careful with this. What some kids want to do is distribute that squared to both. If you do that, you will be wrong because you will be missing the middle term. Okay, so it is very important we actually rewrite it as x minus 6, x minus 6. If we do that, we will not be missing any of the terms. Okay, so if you go ahead and distribute the x, you'll end up with an x squared minus 6x. If you distribute the negative 6, you'll get negative 6x plus 36. This time you will notice that the middle terms are actually the same. They do not cancel out. So if I combine them, I will get x squared minus 12x plus 36 as my final answer. Okay, if we go ahead and look at B, you are going to notice the same type of pattern. So for B, we end up having a 2x minus 5 squared. So again, we want to rewrite that as 2x minus 5 and 2x minus 5 so we don't lose the middle term. Okay, so you'll distribute the 2x first, which would give you a 4x squared and a minus 10x. Distribute your negative 5, we will get another negative 10x, and it will be a plus 25. Again, you'll notice that the middle terms are the same, so we will combine those together to give us a negative 20x. Okay, so now you can pause it, try the next two. You can check your answers on the completed notes. Once you have done that, we'll answer the questions here for the answers for that part. Okay, so it says for this one, based on the examples above, predict the product of a plus b squared. Okay, so you will notice that what will end up happening is it will be a squared plus 2ab, because they ended up being exactly the same, plus the b squared for your pattern. Okay, again, if you need to actually multiply it out, you can do that. If you notice the patterns, they are a little bit of shortcuts for us. Okay, the next two problems I definitely want to look at. We looked at one of these before we left, working with the border problem. It says find an expression for the shaded area of the square figures. Write your answer in standard form. Okay, so they end up giving you kind of a border problem here. Okay, they tell you that these outer parts are both x plus 5. They tell you the inner parts are x, and they want you to find, the border. Okay, we talked about anytime you're looking for a border, okay, you're always going to take the area of the big one minus the area of the small one. Okay, that will always be the case no matter what. Since these are both rectangles, they're both going to end up being a length times a width formula. So for the first one, we want to take length times width of the big one, which would be your x plus 5 times x plus 5, minus, if we do length and width of the little guy, we're going to get x times x. Okay, this would be the equation that we would want to use. Now we need to simplify it. So you want to go ahead and multiply. Make sure you distribute or FOIL with table, whichever method you like best. You're going to get an x squared plus 5x, and then you'll get a 5x plus 25. On this part, x times x will give us x squared. We then want to combine together our like terms. You will notice the x squareds do cancel each other out. The 5x's can be combined together to give us a 10x plus 25. This would be your area in standard form for that one. Okay. For the last example that we have with the swimming pool, we're going to go ahead and actually not worry about that one. So example 5 you do not have to do. Just for the sake of the e-learning, it's a little bit easier to kind of adjust things. Make sure you notice some of the assignments have also been adjusted. Make sure you're doing the ones that I have put in the e-learning. Okay, do not do the ones that are in your packet. We have made some adjustments for that since it's a little harder to ask questions even though you can email me. All right, otherwise have a great day and we'll see you guys tomorrow.